Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, Facebook Live, YouTube, talklawradio.com, and podcasts everywhere. Today I'm talking about what I learned from Jeff Allen, the comedian. Saw him last night at Village Parkway Baptist Church. I'm not being compensated to promote him or his book, but I do want to promote his message because it contains his experience and his change from things that he was doing that were wrong to things that he's doing now that are right. If you call now at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, I will buy a copy of his book and send it to you. What I want you to tell me about is something funny about your marriage, something that might make your wife upset, because a lot of things that I say that are upsetting to my wife, I really think are funny. And I just say, hey, it's funny to me. And she says, of course it is. So the book's called Are We There Yet? And I'd love to send it to you. He didn't have any copies with him last night, so he just said go to Amazon and buy it there. Now I'd like to talk about, did Jesus laugh? And so I was reflecting on the comedy of Jeff Allen, and I wondered to myself, did Jesus laugh? Did Jesus have a sense of humor? And so I did what most anybody would do. I Googled it. I asked Google, did Jesus laugh? And, you know, there's always somebody to give their opinion on almost everything on the internet. Of course, these are the articles that Google chose for me. And I don't know whether it's right or not. I'm not a theologian. But you can weigh in on this too. Let me know what you think. I have a friend who has a picture that depicts what Jesus would look like if he were laughing, and it's just very curious to me whether Jesus did in fact laugh. And since it doesn't say in the Bible whether he did or not, we just have to use the words that are there and try and figure things out. Give us a call. Let me know what you think about whether Jesus laughed or not. Call 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, or text me at 210-538-4770, 210-538-4770. So one person who wrote an article on the internet said people he talks to says Jesus probably didn't laugh because laughter is a sign of the frivolous and a thinly veiled attempt to make light of things that are not funny. And so Jesus would never have done that. They say life is a sober matter. Jesus was described as a man of sorrows. He's described as one who was acquainted with grief. And we do know that he walked around with a burden upon him. He knew that he was going to have to pay for the sin of the world. And then we find no reference in the Bible to Jesus laughing. And so I was thinking about that too. I joined a new Bible study, and I don't know these guys very well, but one of the guys said that you can discern how important an issue or topic is in the Bible by how many times it's mentioned in the Bible. So if we follow that logic, the absence of an issue or a topic might lead one to believe that laughter wasn't important to Jesus. What do you think? Call us. Tell me what you think about whether Jesus laughed or not. 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, and I'll give you a copy of Jeff Allen's book. All you have to do is call in, and I will get your address and have Amazon mail it to you. There's other references in the Bible that says Jesus cried. So we know that. And if he experienced that emotion, why wouldn't he experience the full range of human emotion? There's some other writers that say if Jesus was fully human, he would have experienced the full range of all human emotion. Another writer commented that Jesus used one form of humor called sarcasm, and they look at the language of the time and try and interpret what that would mean in today. And so the sarcasm comes from a response that Jesus made to Herod when he called him a fox. So that's kind of sarcastic to say that about him. And so we don't know if he laughed, but maybe he did use sarcasm. One commentator said that we know that God laughs because it says that in the Bible. In the Psalms, it says, when the kings of the world set themselves against God and take counsel against God, it says that he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. God will hold them in derision. So it's not the type of laughter where it's funny, ha ha. It's the laughter that says, I'll have the last laugh. I got you on that one. And in Ecclesiastes, it says there's a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to build, a time to tear down. There's a time to dance, a time to sing, a time to laugh, a time to cry. And so there are these passages in the Bible that talk about God laughing. So we still wonder if Jesus laughed. Okay, we have somebody on the air who wants to tell us whether they think Jesus laughed. Eric, tell us.
Yes, I believe Jesus laughed, and God is still laughing along. Any references to children especially, if we are laughing and singing and dancing or celebrating, laughter goes with all of that naturally. Now, if we are God's creation, then we surely are a reflection, and seeing how we, as his children, laugh, then in a kind of reverse engineering, I suppose, thought, I would say that Jesus had to laugh. There's no way he could not.
I like that explanation. I would follow that logic that we're made in God's image, and if we laughed, that's a reflection of maybe God's personality. And I had heard your other statement there that about children, and we do know that Jesus spent time with children. And one commentator noted that children would probably not want to hang out with a guy that wasn't entertaining. If he was only a man of sorrows, children might not be attracted to that.
Yes. And, Jesus being a man of sorrows, certainly he would be the one to bear the weight of the world and all of its emotion abilities, including laughter and the sadness that comes along with it.
Yeah, thank you for calling and chiming in, Eric. What part of town are you listening?
Right now I'm on the northeast side of town.
Okay. Well, make sure did you tell Mark what your address was?
No, I just gave him my phone number.
Oh, okay. I'll call you and get your address off the air, and I'll send you a copy of that book. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you. Bye-bye. Okay, great. We had a caller telling us his opinion about Jesus laughing, and I can follow that logic that if we're made in the image of God and we laugh, then maybe that's a reflection of God's personality as well. If you have an opinion about whether Jesus laughed or not, call us at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, and I will send you a book called Are We There Yet by Jeff Allen, the comedian. The reason I'm talking about all this is because I've been so busy all month preparing lots of podcasts about business law. I interviewed Amy Childs, executive coach and Vista's chair, and then we had a seminar about business law. It's the first time I gave that seminar, and I spent a lot of time preparing for it. If I had given a different seminar, like about estate planning, that I've given hundreds of times before, I might not have been so overwhelmed with preparation. But one of the things that I've been gearing up for was this event last night at Village Parkway Baptist Church, where comedian Jeff Allen had a performance, and he has an interesting life. It's all in the book called Are We There Yet? But I'll give you some previews of what he's like. Apparently, in his past life, or I shouldn't say it that way, in his formative years, he had gotten into drugs and alcohol and was quite an angry person. And he did convince this woman to marry him, and they had a rough go of it at the beginning. And eventually she said, if you don't knock it off, I'm going to leave you. And so he got help. He went to therapy or did some 12-step program or something. And even though one of the steps is that you need to believe in a higher power, he struggled with that. He didn't really know God. And a friend of his introduced him to some sermons by audio cassette tapes, and he collected them for years before ever listening to one of them. But it was that friend and those tapes that led him to start to go to church. Of course, the Holy Spirit works through all of that, and he was eventually able to be clean and sober. And his comedy is also clean. You don't have to worry about bringing your kids or your grandparents to go listen to him tell jokes, because it's none of it was inappropriate. Some of his jokes were political in nature, and it's funny, every time he told a political joke, he said, "Don't email me, it's just a joke." Apparently he gets some negative emails whenever he jokes about the president or about the government or about waterboarding. Somebody emailed him this whole long article about waterboarding and told him that he was a moron. And he said, "Of course I am. I'm just a comedian. I don't care anything about waterboarding." Anyway, that was a funny point in the show. Oh, I want to talk about next. I found an article. I was looking up these articles about whether Jesus laughed or not, and I came across this article about the Gospel of Judas. You won't find the Gospel of Judas in your Bible because it's not really a gospel. It's just something that was found recently. I'll talk about that more after the break, so stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.